and we are grateful to them for their generosity, their wisdom, and labor to craft these words. We are gathered on the unceded land of the Lenape people. We were put upon this turtle island not to seek dominion, but as caretakers. And we gather here in a good way to be with the earth's children in all their forms, those of the land, water, and the air. We, the Lenape, original benefactors of land, once ripened and cultivated with attentiveness of the Creator and her ascendancy, express everlasting gratitude to our Creator for the traditional ancestral jurisdictions of the Munsee, Esopus, Canarsie, Capsee, Werpos, Suwanoi, and the Weequahic. Please forgive me if I'm mispronouncing those. Jointly known today as the Ramapo and the Nanticoke Lenni Lenape. We are the Lenape Hoking today and will be for the remaining days for tomorrow, keepers of the past. Let this moment of recognition be a monument of action, and let it be the beginning of hope for this, our Turtle Island, and for the Ramapo Lenape, the Munsee people of those whose land we now trod. Here on this land, in this place of the Munsee, we acknowledge our debt to those who have come before us, those who have been denigrated and suffered for the sake of the cultural and land appropriation. Let this, our land acknowledgement, be the beginning of our return to unity. Let us be guardians of water, the air, the earth, the four-legged, the flyers, the swimmers, the crawlers, the mammal people, and the green. And let us now stand lifting our humanity and rapturing with Earth's consciousness as guardians of harmony and kindness. With that being said, let us begin our program. Deontay Griffin Quick, please.
Thank you, Aisha. Good morning, everyone. My name is Deontay Griffin Quick. I am the Director of Programs and Services for New Jersey Theater Alliance. So I just want to welcome you to this Kwanzaa celebration and this amazing panel. I'm super excited about this panel. This is our second year that we are doing this partnership with NJPAC. So I want to take an opportunity to thank the entire NJPAC staff and team who has supported this effort and created space for us to uplift and celebrate Black theater artists throughout our state. So I want to say thank you. I'm going to get out of the way very soon, but I do want to take the opportunity to introduce our amazing moderator for this conversation. Our moderator is none other than the awesome and amazing Ricardo Khan, who is a director, a writer, an educator, and the co-founder and artistic director of the Tony Award-winning Crossroads Theatre Company based in New Brunswick, New Jersey. His credits go on forever. I don't have time to read them all. But I do want to welcome my friend and colleague, Ricardo Khan. Thanks, Ricardo, for being here.
Thank you, Deontay. And I just want to also thank the New Jersey Theater Alliance for doing this, and to New Jersey Performing Arts Center for what you do every year. So thank you all. I am excited to be the host for this panel and to introduce you, if you don't already know, some wonderful young and emerging artists in Black theater. And they're going to be popping up, and we're going to have this amazing talk today. But the first thing I want to say is just welcome to Kwanzaa and our celebration of Ujima, which is standing for and centering the principle of collective work and responsibility. And when we speak about theater and about theater artists and what we are intentionally committed to doing, it may be different from one generation to the next. It may evolve, it may devolve, but one thing I know is it has the right to change. It has the right to move us all forward. And with that, I want to introduce these panelists who will and already are taking us forward. First, I want to introduce Nicolette Lynch. She is a first-generation Jamaican-American actor and director who currently serves as the managing director of the Yendor Theatre Company in Newark, New Jersey. She works in partnership with the artistic director in order to develop, produce, and celebrate works by historically resilient Black and Brown writers, and women writers from the LGBTQ plus community. Nicolette, welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ricardo. So happy to be here.
I'm glad you're here. And also I want to introduce Ashley Nicole Baptiste, who is a proud graduate of Rutgers Mason Gross School of the Arts. Yay, Rutgers! All right. She received an MFA in acting from there and with the professional training program at Shakespeare's Globe in London. Now, how's that? Ashley, welcome. We're very glad that you're here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yes.
Glad to share the space with you.
Absolutely. And I also want to introduce to you Daryl Stewart. Now, Daryl, where are you, Daryl? I know you're somewhere. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So happy to be here.
Daryl Stewart, folks, is a Newark-based award-winning multi-hyphenated theater artist. He's a performer, a producer, an educator, and he is the co-founder and the former co-artistic director of the Vanguard Theatre Company, and the first official theater curator, get this, in the history of the Newark Arts Festival. So welcome, Daryl. We're going to have some others joining as we go. I want to let everybody know that we're going to talk a little bit. We center intentionality as artists, and it's important for us to focus on that we don't just wake up in the morning and say, okay, what do I do? No, we go to bed knowing what we want to do the next day. and so we wake up ready to do it. And I know that there is an intersection between that and collective responsibility and how the community is involved. And so I want to open up the discussion so that we could all talk about that and have a free, maybe 25-minute or so discussion amongst ourselves about that. So panelists, please, whatever you feel like saying, whenever you want to jump in, please do, because I know you're anxious and eager to change the world, and I want to see that as well. And then what we're going to do after that is open up our conversation to the public, to the viewing audience, and we are going to bring your questions, folks, to this wonderful, wonderful panel of folks. So with that, can we start? Can we talk? Ashley,
Yes.
I know. See, I knew you were about to say something, and I want you to. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the role of the artist in community, but specifically, let's start on the personal side. What do you personally, as an artist, as an arts advocate and activist in our world, want to do when you get up?
So I have been, in all honesty, I've been reading books on things that I'm trying to learn. I know there's certain things I don't understand. Like anyway, so I'm just going to open with a quote.
Yes.
Okay, so because I've been thinking about this. So the book that I'm reading right now is called Ratchetdemic. And I use that for inspiration. If I'm trying to, as an educator, like get inspiration, or as an artist, trying to understand, like, what is it that I'm trying to do, you know? And so this was a quote by Chadwick Boseman. And so he said, "Who am I first? I have to know who I am first to know how to navigate this thing. If I'm navigating and I'm becoming something that I'm not supposed to become, then I'm in the wrong place. whether I made it in other people's eyes or not. So for me, when I read that, I think I'm on this continual journey to evolve as an artist, as a woman, as a Black theater maker. And it's almost like I think about the people that inspire me, like August Wilson. He says, you have to get right with yourself before you can get right with anybody else. You know, so I'm always on that continual journey to deepen the experience of myself as an artist and continue to love and feed my spirit and feed my soul with the things that help build me up for the next portion of whatever the task is at hand that I have to do, whether it be performing in a play, like When Day Comes with Ricardo Khan, at Crossroads, or if I'm doing a Black space interview with, because I also work as associate artistic director of Jersey City Theater Center, and I do those interviews a lot with Black artists from around the world. And I got to make sure my intention is clear at the top of the day. At all times to propel the voices of Black people. And it's not like, because I think Black people, we're not all a monolith. We all know that. So we all have different things that we're trying to do. We all have different lanes, different roles that we need to fulfill in order to continue to propel the Black voices moving forward. And I feel like I'm still defining that for myself right now. So I have to read and gather information, read books, watch videos, talk to other artists, like these beautiful Black artists here, and I learn, it's a continual education of myself.
And I know that you're, yes, Ashley, and you just reminded me, as you speak of learning, of your experience working with Sweet Honey in the Rock. I want to come back to that because that's about the continuum, and it is about moving forward. I mean, they've been working to do the same thing, to move the rock, for 50 years. And then you come along, and it is that connection between those generations that keeps us as a society moving, as a community moving. Nicolette, I wanted to ask you, because of the work that you do specifically, I do want to also honor, you mentioned Ashley, August Wilson. I would like to mention Bell Hooks as well, who we lost yesterday, the day before. But Bell Hooks, an amazing writer and feminist writer. And Nicolette, before, if you don't mind me introducing you, before I do that, can I read a quote from Bell Hooks? Do you mind? This is what she said one time. Sometimes people try to destroy you precisely because they recognize your power, not because they don't see it, but because they see it and they don't want it to exist. I'm gonna turn that over to you, Nicolette, because I know so much of what drives you as well.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I agree with Ashley's sentiments, so beautifully spoken. And that quote about like power, right? A lot of times you can feel disempowered, disenfranchised, like you don't have a voice. And so for us at Yendor Theatre Company, and for me personally, what drives me is my community. I center intentionality through community, looking at the gaps, the needs, and trying to find ways that we can fill that, and use art as a tool to empower people, use theater as a really empowering art form, because it is. Briefly, for an example, we have a summer theater initiative that we launched with Yendor Theatre Company, where we bring fully staged productions into the various wards in Newark. We're going into the community with our work. And when you center community, you have to remember that there might be things like barriers to access, right? Everyone might want to see a show, or they might want to go to that play, but maybe they can't afford it for whatever reason. Maybe there are barriers transportation-wise, they can't make their way downtown. Or they might not feel welcomed in certain spaces. So we bring the work to the people. Our programming for our summer theater initiative is free, and we make sure that we're there for the people. I mean, going out door to door, before COVID, we'd have flyers, going out in community and handing things out to people. That is the type of stuff that motivates me, that keeps me going. I mean, being able to stage a production at Lincoln Park or on the Clinton Avenue soundstage, seeing families come out, because our summer programs are family friendly. So you can bring your kids, everyone of all ages, coming out and enjoying themselves. That motivates me, because also I'm from the community that I serve, and that's important because I can be a voice, I can be representation. Born in Newark, went to school in Newark, raised in Irvington. So it's like the real, I'm from here. I see the gaps, and my team and I work hard to try to implement and see what we can do.
That's beautiful.
Another thing too is
Mhm.
paying artists in our community when we can,
Mm.
employing youth in our programming, letting everyone know that their value and their worth, because that's important as well in the arts, and also seeing that there are ways that it can be sustainable.
Mhm.
So those things, creating opportunities for my community, centering my community in the work, making sure that they feel seen, visible. We even feed people at our events. I mean, those are the things that drive me and excite me and help me to get up and keep doing the work.
That's beautiful. Now you go out into the community. Daryl, at Vanguard, you have a company, don't you? I mean, a space. So,
Yes,
so how does that work? Because there's power in both, but without community, we have nothing. I just wanted
absolutely.
to, yeah. So tell me about your space.
So the Vanguard Theater space is in Montclair, but we did not start in that space,
Mm.
right? We started by building a community, right? I came together with Janice Freeman Clark, who is a Black theater actress and director, and we saw a need through much of the work that we've done at New Jersey Performing Arts Center, Center for Arts Education. That's how we connected. And then from that space, we noticed a trend, which was that when white students would come into the space, they were prepared, they had resources, they had their binders and their books and their information and their dance shoes. And then oftentimes when students of color who looked like us would come into the space, they did not,
Mm.
right? And we decided that we were going to become co-conspirators in creating something that did not exist at the time, right? Which is this idea of DEI was still fairly new in the theater space in 2015. I know, but it's true, right? And so we began to have conversations about what it would look like to create a theater company dedicated to this idea of diversity and inclusion. And so that is really where the idea of Vanguard began to spin its wheels, of saying, look, we see this need, right, on the regional level. How
Mhm.
can we fill it based off of the tools that we have within our hand, right? And
Mhm.
Janice is an incredible educator and artist, right? And so we were able to come together and create Vanguard. And then, of
Mhm.
course, as you know, Ricardo, with anything, when you have two people at the helm, right, one person really does have to kind of give way, right, to the other person's vision, right? Two people cannot drive a ship, right? And so I felt like I took it as far as I could and
Mhm.
then passed it graciously over to Janice, who is doing a
Mm.
beautiful job leading Vanguard into the future.
Well, you bring up a really good point in terms of passing it on. Because in what I hear from all three of you, there is, I'm thinking to myself, well, wow, I know what was passed on to me. And I really, really hoped, I expected that what we passed on to you would put you in a better position than we were in. I'm not sure that's true, because I think that there's certain things that have happened in between, especially when it comes to Black and Brown people in this country, and especially when it comes to the funding of the arts, let alone the funding of arts in Black theater. And I'm just curious about how we could have done better. I believe we could have done better. And one day you're going to be asking that same question of yourselves. How could you have done better? What do you need right now? What's standing in the way? What can we do as a community that we're not doing now? What are we doing as a generation of veteran artists that we are not doing for you right now? Because each of you has an incredible story and an incredible mission, each doing it in a whole different way. How do we support your mission in a way we're not doing right now? What are the stones in your way, and how can we remove them?
I just wanted to speak a little bit to that and also about purpose. So I also work as an educator, and I teach. I wanted to talk about this with the youth because community is important, very important to me as well. And I work with the youth of Jersey City, specifically the Greenville area. I was not born and raised, full transparency, in Jersey City. I'm from San Diego, California, very different place. But my goal as a Black artist is to be that representation, because that was not given to me when I was in school. I did not get to be taught by a Black woman as an educator and learn what that means to watch a Black woman lead in a class with another white educator with her, toe to toe. You know what I mean? So I feel like because of my age, and I am a woman and the times we're in, I feel sometimes what gets in my way, because I'm new, but I have so much drive and passion, you know, to do what I'm doing. I can learn on the go. People, it can be a bit stunting a little bit because people are like, oh, no, I know the best way to do this, or let's do it how we've always been doing it. I'm like, I don't know the way you've always been doing it because this is my first time. So please give me room to fail. Give me room, you know, to make mistakes. I am a Black voice in this room. So therefore that means Black space is wherever I am, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a Black person occupying that space. But you have to give me space to go through that journey. Just because I'm a Black woman does not mean I have all the answers, or I'm answer the diversity quota, you know, of like how to communicate with all of the Black artists of New Jersey. I don't know, you know, I'm from San Diego. I don't know New Jersey. I'm still learning. Give me time, you know. And so, but when I'm working with these students with that transparency, they know I'm not from here, but they know that I got nothing but love for them because I'm always trying to come from a place of love. And I just try to pass that along of confidence, of knowing that they are worth, that they matter. Their story matters because nobody else can tell their story like them. And when I did my Black space interviews, I did an interview with Erica Dickerson Dispenza, the writer of Colored Water at the Public Theater. And I was able to bring at least about 5 students from the program that I'm teaching at Spotlight with Ibn Sharif Shakur and Terrence Williams. We were able to bring them to go see that play in New York and meet the playwright and talk to her a little bit after. And we talked about the show on the ride back to Jersey City. But some of these kids have never been to New York. Some of these kids have never seen an off-Broadway show. So like, I think we just need more space, you know, to do things like that. And also to not know all the answers and give us some grace as we learn, as we go. So that was
and as you say, be patient.
Yes.
Be patient. Yes. The space. Any of you, Daryl, Nicolette?
I'll jump in.
Yes, please.
Nicolette, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's really important. I'm loving what Ashley is speaking about. It's so powerful to me. And the word that keeps coming to my mind is space, 2 words, space and grace, right? There's a musical called A Strange Loop, which won the Pulitzer Prize by Michael R. Jackson. And in that musical, I walked into Playwrights Horizon to see that musical just before the pandemic. And there's a song in the musical where the protagonist sings about his inner white girl. This is a Black, queer, male protagonist singing about his inner white girl. And in that song, there's a lyric where he says, Black boys must always obey their mothers. White girls can do anything, but Black boys must always obey their mothers. And I will be honest, I think for me as a Black theater maker, I want space to disrupt. I want permission to change the rules. I don't want to do August Wilson each and every year, every February. I might want to pull something else out. I might want to make something up that hasn't been created yet. And I need the elders and I need the gatekeepers and I need the folks who have the power to give me that space to do it. so that I can exceed, fail, evolve, grow, learn. We are not, we don't have to stay just because we're in this specific space right now. It doesn't mean we have to stay there, right? We should be allowed to think radical, as Theo is saying. Shout out to Theo doing the great work in Elizabeth, right? Radical imagination. Let me think outside the box. Can I program something outside of February or June? Can I program something in the fall? Can I do a winter musical? You know what I'm saying? I just feel like let's talk about that. Let's talk about what it would look like to give Black theater makers space to really use our imaginations and to dream out loud, to create something that has never existed. And then to that point, I will just close with saying, I was mortified, shocked that my white counterparts who I'm in directing class with are going up to Williamstown, to the Williamstown Festival, and going to all these different festivals. And I looked and I Googled Black festivals, and nothing really came up. And I'm going, how could we have had all of this momentum over the years? And you mean to tell me, as a young emerging director, I can't go to a Black theater festival and sit under another director and learn? Where are the systems? Where are the structures in place for those who are coming up to do this work that we can lean into to help us get ahead? You know, I feel like I'm done with starting from scratch. I want to create things that are going to last forever and ever, so that or however long they last, so that the next generation has something that they can build upon. I'm over starting over. I want to build. I think we should build, talk more about building, talk more about collaborating, working together. I am not against you. I am not against Ashley. I am not against Nicolette. We should all be working together to build something that's bigger than all of us. That's where the real power lies, in that collective creativity and radical reimagining. So that's what I'm thinking about.
That's all. Fill in the space. and I appreciate that. I do. I think about the fact that there are Black festivals, but why don't you know about them? Why don't we know about them? There are people who could mentor, or give space, provide that. What is the disconnect? And we're going to have to figure out how to fill that. But I don't know that we have to put that on you. I think it's on us to try to fill that gap as much as we can, because you have things to say. Nicolette, yes.
Briefly, to the point of mentorship, that's what I was going to say, because I agree with Ashley and Daryl wholeheartedly on their sentiments. And I think with garnering space and having the space to be free, to be radical, to do the things that we want to do, mentorship and investment is still important. It's still an important aspect. So it's like, yes, give us space. You don't have to like pigeonhole us or tell us to do things in the way that they've been done for however many years because you feel like that's the right way. Give us the space to be radical, to be innovative, to think, but also mentor within that space as well. Share some of your ups and downs, your challenges, things that you had to navigate, so that our fight, our battle maybe doesn't have to be as difficult. It's still going to be difficult, but if there are things that can be imparted without judgment on the way that we want to navigate the space, I think is helpful. Really briefly, like we have a summer program called Next Gen at Yendor. It's a pre-professional program that we do for youth ages 16 to 21. And it's like the title, build up the next generation of theater artists, practitioners, as well as artists in other disciplines, right? But we work with them to help them with the building blocks and the tools that they need in professional careers. So whether that's like, how do I start my portfolio, headshots I need, what even goes into a portfolio? We help them with those things, right? But then we also create space for them to be free to exist and to explore beyond those constraints and those confines, right? So like I know that there are certain steps I have to follow, yes, but how can you mentor me within that so that I can still be myself and be expressive? And I think that that's an important aspect of the conversation too. We need the space to be free, but we also need help.
Yes, yes,
Like,
absolutely.
we need help. And so
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? This is not,
NJPAC is important.
yeah, it's not unique to this generation. We all need help. We all have been given help, and that lift up when we've needed it the most, and even when we thought we didn't. I want to introduce Sheldon, because he has just joined us, and I know, Sheldon, you were involved in another conference just before this, so that's where you were before you came to us. And I just want to say welcome to you, and I want to tell our audience a little bit about who Sheldon is. Sheldon Steele is an interdisciplinary performance artist, arts administrator, and educator. He's a graduate of Rider University, from which he holds a BFA in musical theater and an MA in arts management and executive leadership. He served on the administrative team of the Institute of Music for Children before accepting his current role as the founding performing arts teacher at Great Oaks Charter School in New York City. Sheldon, welcome. And we were just speaking about the younger generation. We were speaking about what we do now for children and what they do for us. So it's a perfect time for you to jump in and join us. Welcome, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. And first and foremost, I want to acknowledge the other panelists. Thank you for the space that you hold and have held, and thank you for accepting me in my tardiness. I appreciate that. Yes, I was in the car rushing to get here. I'm like, oh no, I gotta listen in, I gotta get it together. But thank you. I'm very humbled and grateful to be on this panel. Speaking of the younger generation, I guess I'll just tag in a little bit based off of the purpose and the call. I was asked before, don't you want to just simply lead? Don't you just want to lead, your master's degree is in, executive leadership, be implementing strategy and go work for these organizations and help clean up boards and help, do strategic plans and design. But my purpose is so far beyond what I've studied and what it is that my capabilities are, because I believe there is no future if the next generation is not nurtured and brought up into the fullness of who they are. And through the transformative power of arts and the nonprofit arts and culture sector. Simply because I know I live this as a personal testimony, meaning that if it weren't for the arts and it weren't for the teachers to see the something in me before I saw it in myself, to pull me out of the depths of my life circumstance, there would have been absolutely no Sheldon Steele. There would have been absolutely no college graduate first generation. There would have been absolutely no dreams that were believed and now, thanks be unto God, fortunate enough to be realized through the people that he's brought into my life to say, oh, single parent home, he can't afford this scholarship. Oh, he's going to go and train here for free. This young man is showing up with purpose and diligence. And it's because of the community of people. And I believe so wholeheartedly, from every fiber in my being, the transformative power of the arts. There's no other way to explain it. Someone can say, how can you defend this child? Why do you want to work in the theater? There's no money. Why do you want to? Because it's not about that. It's about the next generation, because that progresses our world forward. The more creative thinkers and leaders that we can empower and nurture and grow up, that's the next generation of people who are creating policy, the next board members, the next chief justices of the Supreme Court who hold life sentences, I roll. Things of that nature, those all stem from creativity. If we have corporate thinking, black and white, where there's no gray and there's no nuance, that's not art and that's not creativity. And so that's why I've laid my life down, one, before the Lord, and two, to use what he's deposited in me to instill purpose and to forward the kingdom of goodness, the kingdom of light, anything that is of good nature, which all art is. That's what my life's purpose is for. And so it's beyond a check, beyond a position, beyond a title, have all of that. Mention not of my name. but what is the impact, the influence that my life, my story, my journey, what I say, how I look can impact the child and the next generation of artists to then go and be. It may be the one that I touch that touches 1,000. It's not about magnitude and numbers. It's definitely quality over quantity. And so I live to nurture the next generation of artists and creative thinkers.
Beautiful, beautiful. I couldn't be more thrilled to be here on a Saturday morning with the four of you. You're an incredible panel. And what I would like to ask you to do is break one rule, which is unmute yourselves. Let's all talk. All right. And we don't have to be polite. Just jump in however you like. I also know that there are people who are on the line who have questions for you, and people who have made comments, and I'd love to bring those up. But I have to tell you, you are turning them all on with everything you're saying. So I thank you for that. I do also want to ask you, before we lose time, just if you could very briefly, each of you, very briefly, tell me what your next project is. I'm saying that because I don't want to lose that in the conversation. And I'm also saying that because I want the people who are watching this to know how to get in touch with you, to know what you're doing, to know how they can help you. So let's just start, anybody, with what is your next project? Ashley.
Hello. Okay, so you can find everything that I'm doing on my website on ashleynicolebaptiste.com. So, and then under announcements, I have all the things in real time of what I'm doing. So all my Black Space events, which is an online talk series with Black artists from around the world, England, Canada, America, Dominican Republic, Ethiopia, meeting with artists from all around the world, Black artists, and talk about their artistry, but also we talk about their purpose as well and what keeps them going, keeps them driving. And I'm also working as an educator with the Spotlight program as the Associate Artistic Director at Jersey City Theater Center. And we have a play that we're creating that's going to be going up on March 27th with our students. We're devising a piece, helping them tell their story and what Jersey City is to them.
And what is the name of the piece? Do you have the name yet?
We don't have the name yet, but
Okay.
the program is called Spotlight.
Spotlight. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Daryl.
Awesome. Ashley, I love all of that. Congratulations. For me, I am working right now on a new musical. We're developing it right now. We've been working on it for a few years. It's called Step Show. And it's about a Black female protagonist at a fictional HBCU. It's a beautiful story about legacy and Black family and Black traditions. And so I'm working with the playwright, Maxine Lyle, on this piece. We are developing it and hopefully bringing it to New York very, very soon. So that's one thing. More locally, I'm super excited to continue bringing, fulfilling and sort of reimagining this role as the first theater curator of the Newark Arts Festival. So my second year will be prayerfully next year, 2022. So I'm looking forward to partnering with lots and lots of folks to bring as much theater programming to what has been traditionally a visual art festival. And then lastly, Daryl Stewart Productions is my Black owned and operated entertainment company. And I am looking forward to special projects, productions, and programming like Broadway and the Bricks and other events in and around the area that will hopefully break down these barriers of access so that folks can be a part of all the wonderful things that are happening in the theater community, and regardless of whether they can afford it or not. So all of that information and more is on my website, iamdarylstewart.com, as well as darylstewartproductions.com. And thank you, Ricardo.
My pleasure. Yes, Nicolette.
First, I want
What
to
is
say
you?
kudos to everyone and the amazing work that you're doing. I'm so excited to tap in with all that's happening. At Yendor Theatre Company, there's a lot that's happening next year, but I guess I'll focus on Black Terror, a production, a play written by Richard Wesley. It's a gripping tale centered around a Black revolution. And what's exciting is it's a bi-coastal production with Yendor Theatre Company, Newark Symphony Hall, and Waco Theater Center in LA, which is founded and run by Richard Lawson and Tina Knowles Lawson. And what's really interesting is Black Terror is a play, but it's actually being filmed. So it's what Richard Lawson, the director, has coined a film, which is like a dynamic merging of the two mediums. So that's dropping early next year, and there's going to be lots of other programming and activation around that. The actors in the piece are from both coasts, so we have representation from Newark and LA. So really looking forward to sharing that. YendorTheatreCompany.com. You can find out all the information, as well as if you are on social media, Facebook, Instagram, at Yendor, Yendor, Theater Company, theater with a R-E.
All right. And Sheldon.
So there aren't necessarily any projects being worked on immediately, but there are, I have a mentorship in ideation, a mentorship program that I have in ideation phase. And I guess my seek and my ask is that anyone who has a desire to pour into a mentorship program that is for the youth, because what I found especially in the public school sector and the DOE, my reach and my influence is so bridled. I'm very policed. I am very micromanaged in the sense of there are things life-wise that a child needs, but for the sake of policy and curriculum, nothing can be done and nothing can be said. And I'm so grieved by looking at a child as a number for funding versus then an actual human soul that has feelings and emotions that is in need of something. They just lived through, as we all have, a year of complete treachery and turmoil. Yes. And the residue of the pandemic has our youth suffering. And so I have a mentorship program in the very beginning stages of ideation, and I'm looking for partnership with those who have done similar things or who have any form of insight or wisdom. I've been fortunate to sit on, I see Donna, Miss Donna is commenting now. I've been in rooms with people like Miss Donna, and so grateful for my dear friend Deontay and all the work that all of your organizations are doing. I've sat in rooms with Ashley over the pandemic in the past 8 months, and working with Gathering Ground and other organizations that bring us all together to speak. And so I'm just looking for networking in this season, because it's a swift season of transition for me in the many hats that I'm wearing. And so now going into 2022, I'm looking to codify those things and to really go into the implementation stage. And so I'm just looking for partnership and conversation.
Well, you mentioned partnership. You mentioned that as I was thinking about funding. I'm thinking, okay, we know that historically, and one of the questions that came from the audience speaks to how do you navigate the fact that as Black and Brown theater artists, there's been a traditional underfunding of what we do or our spaces are as artists, and they would like to know how you navigate that. We all know it's underfunding. We know that. We all know that Black theater has traditionally been underfunded, as well as most theater that is not in the mainstream. Somebody mentioned earlier I think Daryl, you spoke about the theater makers always being called in February, for a February show. And I was reminded actually of a designer once who was very frustrated because, first of all, the only time he was called was for February. But then the real question he had is, as a set designer, what is the difference between a Black set and a white set? What's the difference? And these are profound questions that that need to be put out there, because we need to break the rules. We need to break them down, and you absolutely do. But how do you do that? And how do you get to your dreams when the funding is not necessarily where you need it to be?
That's a great question, Ricardo. All I can say is, we as Black people, my people, our creative people, right?
Mhm.
We took scraps from what was left off the table and made peach cobbler and candied yams and you know, all the things, right? So for me, on a very practical level, I believe deeply in collective bargaining. I
Mm.
believe in sharing resources. I will often barter with other Black theater makers. For example, if I'm mounting a self-produced production, which I do often, I'm certainly not going to ask a Black performer to work for free, but I may say to them, look, can I pay you half of what I know you deserve and give you services in exchange for the other half? Can I direct your one-man show sometime in the fall in exchange for you coming to do this work for me? And so on a very practical level, what has worked for me is that it's about relationships. It's about relationships. That's what this capital is really about, right? It's about being able to pick up the phone and call a Nicolette or an Andrew or an Ashley or a Sheldon. And that is what we're going to have to do, because sometimes it's even beyond resources, like financial resources, right? You can have all the money in the world, but there are some theaters who will not rent to you if they don't know you, no matter how much money you have, which is a different conversation that we can have at another time, right?
Yes.
But the point that I'm trying to make is that you have to have relationships, and we need to invest in one another, invest in each other, and be able to create a network of resources that is so rich that if we cannot get it on our own strength, we can tap into this network and be able to make it happen with the collective.
Mm. Anybody else?
Yeah, I
Please.
would say it's tough. First and foremost, it is tough. But really, to Daryl's point, partnerships really help. I mean, in addition to, trying to apply for grants and things of that nature, it's partnerships on the city level, with municipalities, other art entities, other businesses. Like our artistic director, Andrew Binger, I want to shout him out because he does a great job with this. Always sending an email, always on the phone, always making a call. Let's see if there are some synergies here. How can we work? How can we collab? Can you match this portion? And it's that sort of like groundwork, putting yourself out there, and the work helps to get work at times. So the more you're doing the things, the more people see you in the community. It also does start to help in a way too, that people then start reaching out to you and saying, oh, I saw that Yendor was up to this, or, oh, I saw that Broadway Bricks was doing this. How can we partner? How can we connect? I have some funds here. I want to work. So those are sort of ways that help. And also platforms and spaces like this. I mean, not to speak for everyone, but I'm sure all of us here, our organizations are open to receiving donations or help. Or if you know a partner or someone that you think might be excited about the work that we do, spread the word, share it, because that helps us too.
That's beautiful. Yeah. You remind me of things people would say when you don't have enough money. That doesn't mean you're poor. Poverty in the head will hold you back no matter what. But you could be broke. You could not have enough money, but you still move forward. And what I love about each of you is that you're not claiming an attitude of victim. You accept, and then you say, and so, and therefore, and I love that. Sheldon, you were nodding your head. Go for it. Yes, please.
Just when you said not playing victim, I tell you, that just hit me immediately, because there is no time for that. Not to say that we cannot process the reality of our circumstance, but with the process of that reality, we need to know that we got to go and snatch everything that is purpose for us. And that doesn't come without tension and opposition. There is no great thing that has ever come simply easy.
That's right.
And like off to Daryl's point and Nicolette jumping off of that, we as theater artists, as theater folk, it's the ensemble simply of life. When you think about an ensemble, a swing comes into a show, it's that nudge, that push that tells them where to go, that direction. Hey, you might not know your space. You might not know where to go yet, but it's that simple nudge of the people to the left and the right of us. And as one elevates, we take everyone with us. That's absolutely what it's about. And I believe that we as Black and Brown theater artists, we do an incredible job of not looking to our fellow brothers and sisters as competition. It's like, no, sis, I need this, but you need this. And you need this from me, and I need that from you. And what is it that we can sow into each other, because for every seed that is sown, there is a harvest that is reaped.
There you go.
There has to be. And so what are the things that we are doing now and sowing that are going to produce the fruit that we want to see? But standing still and like, oh, I don't know the soil, or that's the planter, I'm more of a water, sitting there as if we can't just tap.
It's the fruit that we want to see that is beautiful, and that has to unfortunately has to be the closing of our discussion right now. It is a conversation that will continue for sure. I want to thank all of you, and I'm so sorry that we have to stop right now, but I'm so grateful for having this opportunity today to be with you and just listen. I would listen to each of you anytime for as long as you want. I'm going to turn it back over to Deontay so that we could thank you all for this morning.
I couldn't be more full or proud of this panel and the people that are here. This panel and this conversation is near and dear to my heart. Rick, I want to thank you for leading us in such a powerful conversation, but I am proud because I got to invite my friends to this panel. I got to bring my friends and my colleagues on to a platform that they deserve, and they are taking up space and paving ways and trailblazing in the process. So I just want to thank you all so much for the work and what you have shared today. As I mentioned, I'm the Director of Programs and Services for New Jersey Theater Alliance, which is the statewide service organization to the 40 professional theaters in the state of New Jersey. And I will let you know that this panel and partnership with NJPAC is so near and dear to us because we have set an intention this year specifically to support emerging leaders and emerging artists of color in this next year. So I want to announce to everyone listening today that over the course of the next year, New Jersey Theater Alliance will be developing and launching a career accelerator program to advance the careers of emerging BIPOC leaders within our state. So you can reach out to me directly or visit us at New Jersey Theater Alliance's website to learn more information in the coming months. But I just want to extend so much gratitude to the NJPAC team for their support through this process and partnership. And I'm sure we have so many other amazing things that we are going to be launching together over the course of the next few months. I don't want to take up any more time. I want to wish you all a happy and healthy and prosperous holiday season. And with no further ado, I'm going to pass it over to the Queen herself, Ms. Donna Walker Kuhne, to lead us into the next portion of this. And I know NJPAC is going forward in their Kwanzaa celebration. So I will pass it over to you, Donna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deontay. You know, when you first came to us with this vision for emerging theater artists, you know, we were excited, but could never have imagined the content of the conversation this morning. Each of you, you know, as a panelist, you are future leaders, you are warriors in your field. So proud of each of you. So please know that we stand with you and are happy and ready to provide the support, you know, that you've talked about. That's so critical. So thank you again for your genius. It's like, wait a minute, how old are these people? You know, you it's like there's a wisdom there that one would think would come after many, many more years, but somehow you all have landed on that. And that's really quite brilliant. Thank you, Ricardo, for navigating this conversation and making sure everyone was heard and that we could all celebrate what's to come. I can't wait for that. I wanted to just also mention that this panel to me really exemplified the principle of Ujima, which is one of the principles of Kwanzaa, collective work and responsibility. And you showed us what that looks like, you know, the collective work, the whole idea of connecting, intersecting, supporting. I love a point that was made about there's no competition. You know, we are all working collaboratively. That is absolutely fantastic. Of course, we want to thank our collaborators, the New Jersey Theater Alliance, Newark Arts, and of course, NJPAC for helping to make this happen. And also our corporate sponsors, which are ADP, Women at NJPAC, PSENG, Whole Foods, and M&T Bank Series. So what's happening next? Please join us at 11 o'clock for our virtual Kwanzaa movement classes. They're available to everyone online. You can go to our website and register. There's 5 different classes that you can choose from, including West African dance, Afro beats, capoeira, liturgical, and Caribbean. And then at 2:30, we will have a second panel with the Divine Nine, the Black sororities and fraternities, on the topic of health and wellness in the Black community. And we have a panel of 9 physicians, African-American physicians, who are giving up their time to really share important information with our community. So please join that. And again, you can register for that online as well. So enjoy Kwanzaa with NJPAC. Have fun. And thank you for celebrating this wonderful day with all of us. Wishing you all the best for a vigorous, dynamic, fantastic 2022. We will all be victorious in 2022. You need not worry. I said it, it will be so. Thank you.
Preach, Ms.